Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm Layo Olarinde. We begin with an update on Wednesday's helicopter crash in Somalia. Somali officials say at least 3 people were killed after the military aircraft operated by the African Union crashed and caught fire at the airport in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu. The helicopter was arriving from Baledog airfield in the Lower Shabelle region in southern Somalia with 8 people on board. The helicopter originally belonged to the Ugandan Air Force, but was being operated by the AU peacekeeping mission. 3 survivors are in hospital for treatment. The impact of the crash also caused munitions on board the helicopter to detonate. The African Union Support and Stabilization Mission in Somalia, AWSOM, is made up of more than 11,000 troops from countries including Uganda and Kenya. The mission helps Somali authorities fight the Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab group. Al-Shabaab has been waging a violent insurgency in Somalia since the mid-2000s. Guinea's transitional government has presented a draft constitution to General Mamadi Doumbouya, the head of the transition. It's a move that has been viewed positively as a first step towards a return to constitutional rule. The text is set to be put to a referendum in September, more than 3 years after a military junta came to power in a coup. The draft includes some changes to previous constitutions, notably presidential terms would increase from 5 to 7 years with a limit of 2 terms. A phrase explicitly limiting presidential mandates to 2 terms in the lifetime of anyone was reportedly deleted from the document before being submitted to General Doumbouya. Aside from the changes to the presidential term, the draft also includes the creation of a Senate. A third of its members would be directly appointed by the head of state. Guinea has been headed by a transitional government since the military coup ousted President Alpha Condé back in the year 2021. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has praised his country's bilateral ties with Ghana, lauding both nations who are members of the Global South, their total commitment to priorities. During a presser with President John Dramani Mahama in Accra's Jubilee House, Prime Minister Modi thanked Ghana for its positive participation and being the voice of Global South Summit. Also, President Mahama on his part, praised Prime Minister Modi's visit to Ghana as the first of its kind, following former Indian Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha, his trip to the nation back in 1995. President Mahama, in addition, announced that Accra would present Modi with the esteemed National Award from the Office of the Order of the Star of Ghana. During the visit, both countries reportedly agreed on 4 MOUs to bolster bilateral relations, with Prime Minister Modi confirming that New Delhi and Accra would elevate the ties to a comprehensive partnership. Now, this visit marks the first stop of Prime Minister Modi's 5-nation diplomatic tour across Africa and Latin America. From Ghana, he will travel to Trinidad and Tobago, followed by visits to Argentina, Brazil for the 17th BRICS Summit, and finally, Namibia.
It's an honor for me to address you on this historic landmark visit to Ghana of the Honorable Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, the first of its kind in 30 years since the visit to Ghana by His Excellency P.V. Narasimha Rao in November 1995. This visit is a significant honor considering the fact that it is the first leg in the Africa visit of His Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi on his 5-nation tour, which ends in the BRICS Summit in Brazil. This visit could not have happened at a better time as government is committed to pursuing its reset agenda to provide the needed support to the Ghanaian people. Our esteemed guests, Prime Minister, will be decorated with the prestigious National Award of the Office of the Order of the Star of Ghana at a state banquet. At a state banquet to be held in his honor this evening. It is a testament of the friendship that exists between the people of Ghana and the people of India. On Thursday, 3rd July, the Prime Minister will also visit the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park. This memorial park is a landmark that reflects India's advocacy for freedom and its advocacy and support to Africa during the anti-apartheid struggle. It also is a testament to the solidarity that India extends for South-South cooperation. Ahead of his scheduled departure, our Parliament will be honored to listen to an address from the Prime Minister of India.
We have invited Ghana to join the global.
President Donald Trump will host the presidents of Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mauritania and Senegal for trade talks at the White House in Washington, D.C. on July the 9th to 11th. The meeting is expected to focus on commercial opportunities that could benefit both American companies and African partners. The White House explains that President Trump believes these African countries offer incredible commercial opportunities which would benefit both countries. The invitation comes after the Trump administration dramatically cut U.S. foreign aid to Africa as part of broader spending reductions. Well, some analysts say the meeting comes as a surprise and a continuation of intensifying American diplomatic efforts towards the African continent. Well, plans for a wider U.S.-Africa summit have also been announced for September. However, nothing has been confirmed. Well, joining us now for more on this is African Affairs analyst Dr. Okala. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
It's always my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, President Trump is hosting 5 African leaders next week for trade talks, and it's a move many didn't see coming. What's your take on the significance of this mini summit, if you will, with these particular countries, especially in light of recent U.S.-Africa relations?
You are right. I think many really didn't see it coming. These are not the most influential countries in Africa, and they're not even in terms of diplomacy, in terms of economics. But then I think Trump have tried to, have been diligently searching for critical minerals. He has taken him to Ukraine. He has aggressively discussed with Chinese. So I think he is also looking for critical minerals that they need for their economic activity in US. So I believe that Senegal, a country like Senegal and Guinea-Bissau, they have phosphate and other minerals that Americans are diligently seeking for. And Trump has shown that he's engaging in this transactional diplomacy where the existing framework of regional cooperation is being replaced by direct discussion for investment opportunities and business opportunities. So I think most of these, even though these countries may not be the most influential in Africa, of course, President Trump seemed to think that they have what they need, the American need today, especially his American-first agenda.
Has always maintained that the Trump administration has made increasing business ties a key objective of relations with the African continent. But replacing development aid with trade, sounds ideal in theory. How can African economies, do we have the currently, do we have the infrastructure and policy environment to make that transition effective? And more importantly, African nations, are they in a strong position to really negotiate mutual trade benefits?
Well, I think Africa, most of both the West and the East are rushing to Africa, and it may not be for nothing. The influence of the West, including the US, the likes of France, the likes of UK, is coming down, while that of, you can see that China and Russia, they are having more influence. And then a lot of African minerals are in demand in the Western countries and the Eastern countries. However, the problem, we don't have advantage in dealing with in trade because most of our infrastructure are not really developed. Our financial sector have not been properly developed. So for us to fully take the opportunities, we need to develop the infrastructure in Africa. We also need to, our financial institutions also need to be more developed so that there can be more productive activities, and then we may have some comparative advantage when dealing with these other countries. Even our diplomatic capacity is limited. Most of the time you can see that when African heads of state are discussing with US or with most of these Western countries, sometimes, I mean, like what happened with South African president in US, they are more or less being, if you like, bullied. And sometimes, I mean, rushed into agreement that may not necessarily benefit their people. But when we put our acts together at home, then we can negotiate from a position of strength and then have agreements and deals that will benefit the African people.
All right, then, African Affairs Analyst Dr. Okala, thank you for your time on Network Africa.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
To politics now, Tanzania's Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa has announced that he would not seek re-election in the forthcoming parliamentary elections, effectively preventing him from being reappointed. Mr. Majaliwa had earlier said that he would defend his legislative seat for a fourth time in October, before making the surprise announcement on Wednesday. The 64-year-old was appointed Prime Minister in 2015 and was seen as a possible successor of the late President John Magufuli after his death in 2021. Well, he has continued to hold the position under President Samia Suluhu Hassan, who is seeking to retain the presidency under the ruling Chama cha Mapinduzi party. Mr. Majaliwa, who has represented the coastal Ruanga region since 2010, said his decision was guided by God and he had made it in good faith to give others the opportunity to unite and build on the development foundation already established. Well, his resignation comes just a week after he said that he would seek another term in parliament. In a significant development in the Nigerian political sphere, two of the country's main opposition leaders have joined a new political party to challenge President Bola Tinubu and the ruling All Progressives Congress party in the next election. Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi have chosen the African Democratic Congress, ADC, as their new political home after breaking away from their respective parties, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the Labour Party. Meanwhile, the African Democratic Congress, ADC, has presented membership cards to former Senate President, Mr. David Mark, and former Governor of Osun State, Mr. Rauf Aregbesola, as both officially assume office as interim national chairman and secretary of the party.
Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, as well as the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, arrived at the venue of the conference by the African Democratic Congress, ADC, in Abuja. The hall is filled to capacity with a mix of politicians who were hitherto of different political parties.
Former governor of Edo State.
Proceedings were intermittently interrupted with cheering applause as members of the high table are introduced. The national chairman of the ADC, Mr. Ralph Nwosu, officially hands over leadership to former Senate President David Mark as interim national chairman and Rauf Aregbesola as interim national secretary. The former national chairman of the ADC explains the reasons for his decision to step aside.
We are setting in motion a new way of leadership that is boldly visionary, deeply committed to improving the lives of our people and restoring our country. We don't have any doubt. We don't have any doubt that in demand, we all decided to resign so that he can pedal this canoe and get us to the villa.
Official membership card is presented to the interim national chairman and secretary, symbolizing the official adoption of the ADC as a platform for the opposition coalition.
Thank you very much. This is the part of the coalition.
Let it be known today across Nigeria and beyond, the opposition is united. The platform is ABC. The time is now. The mission is clear. Rescue Nigeria, rebuild Nigeria, return power to the people.
The coalition aims to provide a strong unified opposition to the ruling All Progressives Congress and mobilize citizens to vote out the ruling party in 2027.
South Africa's Correctional Services Minister Peter Grunwald has suggested that in order to reduce overcrowding in prisons, there should be a debate on whether corporal punishment should be revisited. In 1996, corporal punishment was outlawed in Parliament. Delivering his budget vote at the National Assembly, Mr. Grunwald says overcrowding remains a challenge and that many of those who are in prison for petty crimes cannot afford to pay small amounts of bail. However, this proposal by Mr. Grunwald has sparked debate among members of Parliament, with some agreeing to it. Take a listen.
And I do not intend to sugarcoating our challenges or our problems we experience in correctional services. My philosophy is always that you can only properly deal with a problem if you put the real facts on the table and not in a state of denial. So we know these challenges encompass issues such as overcrowding, dilapidated infrastructure, a rising number of remand detainees, deteriorating facilities, staff shortages, the presence of crime syndicates and gangs within our institutions, and emerging crime patterns that pose challenges to our rehabilitation programs. And I want to start with the budget. It is very important to remember that the department's allocation was cut due to fiscal and economic constraints our country is facing.
President of Malawi, Lazarus Chakwera, has officially inaugurated the country's first cancer center in the capital city of Lilongwe. The National Cancer Center is a significant initiative aimed at reducing the number of costly referrals to foreign hospitals and also easing the financial burden on patients during times of foreign currency shortages. The facility is reportedly equipped to serve up to 100 patients daily and currently treats more than 2,500 adults and 250 children annually. The services, which include chemotherapy, radiotherapy and teletherapy, are now offered free of charge for the first time in a public facility. The $25 million center, funded by the Malawian government and the OPEC Fund for International Development, is expected to significantly reduce the estimated $15,000 that the government previously spent per patient on overseas treatment.
I think about all Malawians, many of whom both young and old, whom we lost to various types of cancer over the years, and how they did not have a fighting chance because we did not have a cancer center here like this.
Today, this National Cancer Center has state-of-the-art technology through linear accelerators, through brachytherapy, equipment, all sorts of things that are going to allow us to bring the treatment that Malawians deserve and have every right to have. as anybody else in the world.
Every year we have about over 18,000 cases every year, and most of these required radiotherapy, but they could not access radiotherapy because we didn't have a public radiotherapy center. So opening of this facility will allow every patient who is a Malawian access radiotherapy. And this is very important because it's one of the key issues that helps improve chances of cure from cancer.
Hundreds of locals and family members have attended the funeral service of young victims who died in a crash at a school exam sparked by a blast from a power transformer station in Bangui, the Central African Republic. The explosion occurred on the 25th of June near Barthélemy Boganda High School, where around 5,300 students were taking the baccalaureate exam. The blast, which was reportedly caused by a transformer operated by the National Energy Company, triggered panic, resulting in the deaths of around 30 students and injuries to at least 260 others. Liberia's former president, William Tolbert, has had a symbolic reburial 45 years after he was murdered during a coup and his body was believed to have been dumped in a mass grave. 10 days after the president's killing, following trials by a kangaroo court, 13 of his cabinet were stripped, tied to stakes, and then executed by a firing squad on a beach next to an army barracks in the capital, Monrovia. None of the 14 corpses has been found, but each man got a state funeral at a ceremony attended by President Joseph Boakai and other dignitaries. The event was seen as an act of reconciliation and part of a process of the country coming to terms with its violent recent past. It is an act of national conscience and a moment to acknowledge historical wrongs and reaffirm collective commitment to truth, justice, and reconciliation, according to President Boakai. A grave dug for the funeral was left empty and unsealed in case any of the remains were ever found. The 12th April 1980 coup, in which 28-year-old Sergeant Samuel Doe took power, ended well over a century of political dominance by the minority Americo-Liberians, the descendants of freed black slaves who had come from the U.S. in the 1800s. Well, finally, on the program, the Lagos State government has announced that the Ilubiri housing project will be delivered in the fourth quarter of 2026. The State Commissioner for Housing, Mr. Moruf Akinde-Rufatai, made this known during an inspection of the ongoing project in Lagos Island.
The Lagos State Commissioner for Housing and officials from the ministry are here at Ilubiri Foreshore Housing Project to inspect work that has been ongoing for more than a decade. The project, which was conceived during the administration of former Governor Babatunde Fashola, has experienced setbacks due to funding and environmental challenges. But the Sanwo-Olu administration is racing to complete the project with the private sector on board. The first phase of the scheme consists of more than 180 apartments, and the Commissioner for Housing believes that the completion of Ilubiri and other housing projects will increase the housing stock in Lagos.
This place is going to be misused. We are talking about an hotel even here, work clearly. So it is a project that Mr. Governor is very, very passionate about. While we work on the issue of provision of housing units for low-income earners, as we speak, we are working on about 2,400 units simultaneously for low-income earners in Ekpe, Ikorodu, Badagry. And we just also feel that this, serving the high end of the market is also very important to project Lagos to the world. And if you look at, we are going to be giving some facts. If you look at the vision, you will see that this is like creating a competition among other cities in the world.
The issue of flooding experienced in Lagos Island, which led to the construction of the Ilubiri pump station, is also partly responsible for the delay. But now the canal has been completed for easy flow of water, and the development partners provide assurance that they will deliver the project by 2026.
We have a clear sight of phase one, and as the commissioner has indicated, and we are going to proceed, our plan is to deliver now 2026 December, and I think the project, the first to approach.
The master plan of the Ilubiri housing scheme is designed to deliver over 2,000 apartments with social amenities like green public space, healthcare and education infrastructure for the comfort of the soon-to-be occupants.
And that's it on the program for today. Thank you for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.